the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I am your host, Justin Allen Hayes, founder and executive director of Voices for Voices. If you can give us a big thumbs up, like, share, comment, subscribe, would greatly appreciate that. Thank you for being with us for over 190 episodes at this point. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you for the love and support you have and continue to give in whichever way you're able to, monetarily or non-monetarily. We appreciate it all. Thank you. The refresh. Refresh is a term that I became more aware of, acknowledged it being the word refresh when we started down the path of personal computers, netbooks, iPads, smart devices, the many computers that we all carry for the most part with us, that we keep near us. Probably one of the closest things we keep to us on a daily basis. I mean, everything up and including going to the restroom. So that's how attached we have become to these devices. So the refresh, what is it? And it spans across not just the digital footprint of digital devices. It spans also across professions and what that means as far as the term refresh. I bet if someone was to come to your house, where you reside, where I reside, and counted each of the times we have refreshed something, we would be very, very surprised. And I'm talking on the level of the amount of time we spend on our devices. One of the settings we're able to look at, or one of the aspects, the characteristics, is how much screen time we have had on our devices over the course of a day. We can change that time frame and take a look at that. And if you're like me, very surprised when you see that number. We spend a lot of time on our devices. That's just the name of the game. As far as how refresh ties into the digital footprint, I'll ask a question. How many times have you refreshed your web browser or your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, bank account once you're logged in? How many times do we refresh? And what that basically means is you got the little half circle with the arrow. You press that button or click on it, and the web page, the app, on apps mostly, it's you hold it down. So you press on the screen and then drag it down, and then you'll see sometimes this type of a symbol that comes up, meaning that you want to see if there's new content, new TikTok videos, updates to your bank account, updates to a concert ticket website like Live Nation or Ticketmaster. And so we refresh on our devices, on our computers, anything with a screen, for the most part, we refresh. Now, I'm not able to refresh on this particular camera while it's filming. Otherwise, I probably would. I'd find a reason why. And not all reasons are bad ones. Not all reasons are going to get anybody in trouble. What it actually is, and what I think it's linked to, is that FOMO, 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 the fear of missing out. Well, if I don't refresh TikTok right now, I'm going to miss out. I'm not going to get the most current picture of how many views, how many likes, how many comments, how many replies. Email, the same thing. You apply for a job or anything that really you're looking for. So you're looking for a reply from something. Maybe you're traveling and you just booked a train or a plane, or you are going to rent a car. And so you may go to your email on whatever device you're near, and maybe you're checking, and maybe you're refreshing on multiple devices at once. I've done it before. I think we're all guilty of that. And so we wait for that confirmation email that we're talking about a plane ride, making sure that the dates are right, making sure that the times of the flights, the flight numbers, how many connections, the financial side of things, the cost, if that lines up with what you or I saw before we made the purchase of a particular plane ride for a trip. And so that's not a bad thing. And I'll speak for myself, I like those confirmation emails, double check everything, and then I like to star them or put them in a digital folder. So when I want to look at that again, I'm able to. And what's happened sometimes is with airfares, flying, I've noticed it, maybe you've noticed it, maybe somebody has noticed it, where there is an email that comes through that may modify one or more of your flights. And so that's kind of important, right? To make sure that we're getting that correct information. Maybe the modified time isn't going to work for your schedule or my schedule. And so then it's up to the airline to give us some options. Are we able to straight up cancel that flight because that modification in flight time is just not going to work? And so you want the ability to go in and rebook that particular trip. Or maybe there's a modification where you're able to pull up, and I'm speaking from experience, where we pull up all the other flights that are around that time or those times, and we see if that might work better. Is the layover longer or shorter? Is there, based off of the layover, is that going to, if it's a shorter layover, then we're probably going to get to our destination a little bit earlier on average. If the connection is longer, that usually will mean that we'll be arriving to our destination a little bit later than if we had a shorter layover. So those are all things to take into account. And so the refresh is pretty important when we go from the email, and I'm speaking from experience. I received an email, I opened it, I see there's modification of flight time. If we have any traveling parties with us, we check with them to see what they think, get their input, and then we make a decision on what we'll do. And So we'll usually, depending on what device we have, we might pull out our digital device, we might pull out an iPad, we might pull out our personal computer, our laptop, or whatever device we have near us. And for me, I like to use the device that I am logged into, or it will give me a quick turnaround time so that I can go right into as quickly as possible from that email to the app. So if you're flying on United or American or Delta, uh, Frontier, whatever airline that is, then you want to go in and you want to remedy that situation. If there's no change that you accept, or I accept that, well, it's going to be a little inconvenient having a different time. And what I found, again, on average, so I'm not speaking on the whole, but on average, the changes are usually very short, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes. Now, where that comes to be important is when you have a connection. If you have a shorter connection, is that time where you're going to arrive into where you're going to have that connection, is that going to cut that down? And if you're talking about international travel, you want to have more time than not, because international things just happen, where we are spending more time at that connection than we had planned. If we have an hour and a half connection, we may ahead of time thought, oh, well, an hour and a half, we'll go grab a bite to eat, we'll use the restroom, and we'll go to our gate and wait to board. Well, if our plane arrives 10 minutes late and that change and modification in that flight schedule is leaving in a shorter amount of time, we may not be able to go grab something to eat. We may only be able to use the restroom. And I've been in those situations, and that's just the case. Or we may be able to, instead of purchasing our food and be able to sit down and relax a little bit and eat, we may be taking that food onto the plane. So you got whatever bags, backpack, purse, carry-ons, and then you got, usually a bag with food and maybe a bottle of water, bottle of Gatorade, iced tea, what would have you. And so those are, again, things out of our control. So we're going to come back and talk about what that has anything to do with refreshing. So refreshing, in that case, would be refreshing once we would make that change to our airfare. We would be refreshing that email, or I'd be refreshing until I got that confirmation if I did modify my flight reservation after that notification of the modification that the airline was sending out. Or if I changed anything, maybe I want to prepay for a bag this time. So make sure that shows up. You get the receipt, get that confirmation. So we're refreshing. We are refreshing, again, emails. Like right now, did I get any emails that I was expecting? Maybe I reached out to somebody and was hoping to get a response before the weekend. And so we're refreshing and refreshing. How many times do we do that? If I were to estimate, and this is purely an estimation, there may be some facts out there, hundreds or thousands of times we're refreshing. I'll give you another example, work-related. When we want to maybe put out an additional podcast or TV show outside of our normal Wednesday schedule, we want to make sure that our TV show and podcast is showing available on all the platforms that they show up on. And at the current time, give you a real-time example, out of all the platforms, I was hoping to be able to uh, put out notifications, social media wise, about an additional episode this week that we felt was important to have out there. And so there are 3 platforms that I am waiting for the episode to pop up. All the other platforms, it's already popped up, it's live, it's there, tested it. And so you better believe I'm on my computer, my iPad, refreshing every 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And sometimes we have a schedule in our mind, and sometimes we're just thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll check this platform. Maybe I'll check Good Pods. Maybe I'll check Podcast Index. Maybe I'll check iHeart, Odyssey, Spotify. And that's how we're able to give you all the direct links for each episode when we put out our social media notifications, promotions for the episodes. And so I'm refreshing and have refreshed. And once we're done filming, I'll go and refresh until they show up, until I'm able to go ahead and get that live link to that platform, so that I have, and we have as an organization, all the links for all the platforms that day in and day out that our TV show and podcast appears on. And so I can tell you I've done that probably tens of times on each platform, because as I'm going through and Odyssey's updated, I can go ahead and get that link and put that into our notification, kind of our draft notification that we put together first to double check everything that it works before we go ahead and schedule the social media post. So I've been doing it a lot today. So that's a professional, real-time reason of a refresh. And so that term, when I was growing up, I didn't know what a refresh was. I may have heard refreshment, like on a hot day, we want a refreshment. And so whether that's a bottle of water, the Gatorade, iced tea, we want to be refreshed. We want to, if it's a warm day, we want to have a refreshment. We want to cool down. Or on a cold day, we want to warm up. And so we would be refreshed, feel a little bit better once we would consume said refreshment. So that's a professional use of refreshment, and also use another professional experience of a refresh, and that is really for any retail location, brick and mortar, where new products are coming out and seasons change. So for, we talk about, textiles, shirts, pants, skirts, dresses, socks, the like. From season to season, those items are usually refreshed. And so going into spring, there's going to be a better selection in that retailer's eyes for what us as consumers, what we may want, versus a winter selection. So in general, winter, it's going to be cooler. We're going to probably have a little bit more long sleeves and pants, versus spring and summer, where we still may have some long sleeves and pants, but we're gonna mix in a little bit more, the shorts and the dresses, and the like. And so what that is a refresh. So we're gonna refresh our selection of clothing, our selection of carpet. Maybe there's certain carpet colors that sell better. Historical data would show, you know, color one versus color two. Maybe color two sells better in the spring and summer area versus one. So either the store could pull the first one off of the floor, the sales floor, or they could make it less noticeable. So if you're looking at swatches, instead of it being maybe one of the top few swatches, it may be towards the back. So those are ways that a organization, a retailer could look at the refresh. And so we're talking anything from carpet to clothing in that respect. Same thing for digital. Amazon, digital shopping, whether it's Amazon or whether it's the particular like Best Buy, the same thing would be occurring, but on the digital level. So if a product sells better in a certain season, if we're not in that certain season, that product would go to maybe the second or third or fourth or fifth page, because as you and I know, we very rarely scroll through all the pages. So if we're looking for a GoPro, there may be pages and pages and pages of the GoPro models as well as the accessories. And so again, going back to that data, and so we have to have the data. That's why having databases and the like is very important. It's not the sexiest part of the job, sorting through data, but that data is going to help us make more informed, better decision making, shorten the amount of time from someone like you or I browsing the GoPros on a particular website to making that purchase, putting that particular product or accessory in our virtual shopping bag. And so those are ways that we work with refreshment. And so whether we're refreshing as an organization, a store, whether that is a brick and mortar or whether that is a virtual storefront, season to season, maybe we've run out of a particular product and we're not going to be able to because of supply chain disruptions. And so, right, we're coming in with all these terms, and we talk about with education and careers and employment. And it's very important for us at Voices for Voices to be sharing that, because we do have a career employment section to our organization. And you go to our voicesforvoices.org, you go to the What We Do, and you look for that career tab. Click on that. That'll take you to the best employment, searching, applying, working on resume tools that you will find. Better than Monster, better than Indeed. These are used by highly respected associations. Let me give you a reference. American Marketing Association. That was an organization I was affiliated, was president for 2 years of. And so I was able to make that reconnection when my time was up there, and when we kicked off Voices for Voices, because we want to be that full service organization, and we are that full service organization. So what are you doing? Why haven't you checked that out? Please check it out. Share, let everybody know, sign up, put a job alert together. So that's where we talk about the refresh today, on the professional side as well as on the digital side. Same thing could be said for checking our mailbox. outside, the actual physical mailbox. We may be going out waiting for a particular correspondence of some sort. And so the refresh would look like me walking out to the mailbox, opening the mailbox, looking to see if there's mail. If there is, collect it, close the mailbox, and look through to see if that correspondence I was expecting actually came. If the mail was not there, it could mean we just don't have, we didn't receive any mail today. And that can happen. And so we may, depending on the time of the day that we go out, if we're going out in the morning, maybe we'll go out and check another time in the afternoon. The afternoon, still nothing. We may go out in the evening. So that's a form of refreshing, where we're checking the mail. That's the physical checking of the mail. This is the digital checking of excuse me, of the mail. So we refresh a lot, and that makes me and us more anxious, because if we haven't received what we thought we were going to receive when we refreshed, when I refreshed the platform, hoping that the next episode that we wanted to send notifications social media wise out, it's not there. Well, I'm going to continue to refresh until it is there. And so I'm anxious because the episode is not on that platform quite yet. And so I'm going to refresh and refresh and refresh. That's also called ruminating, which I didn't know until I hit my rock bottom mental health wise, where we ruminate, we think and we do the same thing over and over again. And that can also be called insanity to an extent. We do the same thing over and over, expecting a different answer. That's one way to look at things. But when I'm looking at the podcast and TV show side of things, I know that the show is going to be uploaded. The Voices for Voices TV show and podcast is going to be updated and uploaded. Why? Because over 90% of the platforms have already uploaded that to their site, to their particular app. So I know it's coming. There may be other things where I'm waiting for mail of a check from the lottery for millions and maybe billions of dollars. Well, that's probably going to be insanity. Doing the same thing, checking and checking and checking and checking, thinking we're going to get this check, and we didn't win anything. We didn't scratch off and have a winner. We didn't get the numbers, the Powerball. We didn't get any of that. That's just a figment of our imagination that we are thinking that we're going to get that in the mail. So that's insanity. The podcast and TV show side, that's not insanity. It is insanity a little bit, because it's adding a little bit of anxiousness and nervousness to my mind, because I can't do the next thing until this thing is done. I can't go to step 3 until step 2 is done. I can't go to step 2 until step 1 is done. And that's as that goes. So refreshing, that can cause us anxiousness, nervousnness. And I would just throw it out there. Think about how many times you refresh emails, refresh social media apps, mail. Think about that, because we're spending a heck of a lot of time doing that when we could be doing other more productive things. And I speak for myself first, knowing that I just have to do better. And when that email, when that podcast is uploaded, it's going to be uploaded when it's uploaded. That's just the way it is. So refreshing, the refresh, professional, as well as individual, we refresh a lot. So that's a term that we've been pretty familiar with and continue to be familiar with, because we keep refreshing. So until that option goes away, we're going to continue to refresh. So thanks for joining us on this episode, the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Please give us a big thumbs up, like, share, comment. Let everybody know. Check out the career side of Voices for Voices. voicesforvoices.org. Go to the What We Do, and that drop down will pop up career. Click on that. They'll get you everything you need. Thank you for the love and support you've given us. And until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need.